I think that still works. So, hello and welcome to another episode of Loose Canon. We are live in a new location, and and of course, there's always something. I didn't have that muted, so there might be a second of audio feedback looping. Um, Today we are going to be talking about the new season of the Haunted, and it's already we're already veering to the third week, and sorry about the delay. A lot of moving was done in real life that kind of impeded everything, and we're very excited to get back on track. There are two new lore books this season, right? There's something voices and triage. Okay,
Yeah.
okay.
Did we get to last or the beginning of the season?
Yeah, so it's
Okay.
there's triage and there's voices of the haunted this season, and last season we covered lucent tales and shattered suns. So there's
That's
still
right.
acts of mercy, Martian missives, quintessence, and nomicine. Which that was the book that was bugged, right? Like you weren't actually able to get that book.
Yeah, that's the one. Well, didn't like some people got it at first, but then like nobody got it until later
I
because
don't
it
even
wasn't
know.
officially out.
Yeah, I don't even know what it was supposed to be. I just remember remembering that book being like there are entries that just were not happening, and it's like why are we not getting these anymore? And so it was like this big question mark. I don't even remember reading it because I was like, what's going on with it? But so far the two books of the season are really good, but they're doing the thing where you get them every week and that's it. You get one
Yeah.
entry every week, and I believe both of them have 9 entries. And so we will have to discuss whether we're going to jump into these soon or if we're going to double back, do some of the ones from the previous season. Because they, oh, never mind then. Ishtar implemented a new thing where they show you stand ins for the entries. The entries are not actually available yet. So you can just see that
Uh,
there are 9 entries or
Curse
seven
you,
entries.
Baxter.
I mean, I remember seeing them talk about that. They were like, "Do you prefer to see a blank empty entry that just says the word classified with nothing in
Right.
it?" And people were like, "Yeah, because that explains that there is something and it's just not available yet." Um, but
Yeah.
yeah.
Well, and it helps too because when people do word searches on Ishtar, which that's like primarily what I do when I'm
Hmm.
looking up stuff, and then all of a sudden a brand new piece of lore pops up and you think it's relevant to what you're looking for, it kind of confuses you, right?
Yeah.
So this keeps the chaos down to less
So
less chaos.
I actually have access to a little bit of information talking about Ishtar, talking about their searches, just for people who are interested. Because I feel like if you're listening to us, you are probably pretty deep into Ishtar. You're like a part of that community. The most searched words this week are going. I'm assuming this. Yeah, this is from most to least. I'll just read a few of them. Trespasser, which is a returning sidearm. Drifter, who's always a favorite of people. Callus, who's not surprising because he's got a lot of focus this season. Crow as well. Shayura, who is the
Yeah.
Praxic Warlock,
Yeah.
and then just missing by two searches. You can be the difference today. Two people listening. By two searches, right after Shayura is Nezarek, who they certainly had a thing this season. They finally had their third kind of mention. Good for
Yeah.
them. Good for them.
Yeah.
Another kind of mention. Not even a full thing about them. We know literally nothing about them.
Right.
We just
Right.
know that they have a name.
It's funny because just to start off, when Bungie was Bungie did a really good job this time of keeping everything quiet until like the moment
Yeah.
of release, which I think that needs to be said because I mean, how long has it been since Bungie was able to do that?
Mm-hmm.
Like D1?
Very true. Yeah.
And so this time, but I mean it broke, it finally broke. But yeah, and then here was this season. So like it was pretty nice. And then like the lore, how it came out, usually it's just a dump. And we go through
Mm-hmm.
everything and we're like digesting, figuring out what this is, what this is, what this is. But it wasn't all dumped at once.
Yeah,
So it's
it's
kind of
it's
nice.
it's like so much that you can't even focus on what you just read. You
Right.
just you read it all, and then you hear someone else talking about it, and you're like, "What the fuck? That wasn't there," and it was, but you just flew through it so fast it didn't even
What's funny to
register
me
for
is like
you.
when you just mentioned the word searches and what people search, like people
Hmm.
search callus or
Yeah,
crow
yeah.
or Sheira or Nezarec, but when they search that, I mean, it's just you're gonna open up a Pandora's box of information just by that one word search, and you have to sift through like so much. But uh, it definitely one of the things that I tuned into when I was reading all the lore was the Sheira, and I wanted to know where are we at with that story. So that was kind of eye opening right there. And then
Hmm.
of course Nezarec, we when you see that name pop up anytime, you immediately have to go to it. Like, what is it?
Yeah, I mean, I I am not. I am like equal parts a fan and not a fan of Nezarec because they have so little to their name. It's like
Hmm.
the first entry came in base D2, and it was like uh Nezarec, the god of pain, and that's like the most actual information we got about him. But it's
Right,
from the passage of hated Nezarec, which is pre Golden Age fiction potentially.
right,
Maybe it's
right.
history, but if it's history, like how could it be history and then people are like, what the hell is the traveler? Like what the hell is the light in the dark and like all these other things? You can't have both in my opinion.
Mm,
And
true.
then in Forsaken we have I forget which book it was. There was a book that was written by Shin Malfer talking to us about what the Drifter is up to. And he drops how like Drifter loves to name drop places he's been to places. And Shin, who is I would say a credible source on dark and facts and etc., says he claims he's been to places that don't even exist, one of them being the fourth tomb of Nezarec. And it's like, why is there four tomb,
What?
like why is there at
Yeah.
least four tombs of Nezarec, which is already
Uh,
fucking weird. And now we got Nezarek's Whisper, and it's like I love seeing Nezarec like come back, but the glaive is called Nezarek's Whisper. The entry has nothing to do to Nezarec with Nezarec, and people are like, "Oh my god, so Nezarec was a disciple." And it's like Nezarek's name was not in that fucking entry.
right. Well, I always go back, like whenever people talk about uh like name dropping and like the drifter and stuff, it always makes me go back to um, you know, the old D1 lore where they
Hmm.
would just drop names and never do anything with them.
Yeah, no, that's true. They used to do that a lot. They really did.
And it's funny because like Nezarec has become one of those characters where it's just like we'll just throw the name in there so people will see a little light go off and then they go
Hmm.
to the corner to see if the monster's there and he's not. It's just like,
Absolutely.
gotcha, made you look.
And so very recently, actually, I've had this opinion for a while, and I thought I actually shared it, but I couldn't find it when I was looking for it. Maybe I shared it here, but I've had the opinion that Nezarec is not real. Specifically, kind of springboarding off of the writer John Goff, writer for Destiny. He has a tweet thread about how he wants to create this like 80s style cult horror movie, kind of like Children of the Corn esque, and it's like this couple ends up getting stranded in this like midwestern like middle of nowhere town, and yada yada yada. The wife sacrifices the husband to the god of pain Nezarek. And so like she joins it because it's like it's in that it's kind of like a cabin in the woods where it's like yeah
Sure.
we sacrifice a few people to save everyone else, and that's kind of what the movie was supposed to be.
Yeah.
And maybe that's his intention for it, maybe that's never gonna happen, maybe that will happen now, we don't know. But it's like if of Hated Nezarek is like even just a book, not even a movie, even just like a Stephen King book that became
Sure.
a terrible
Yeah, that would be
adaptation of a
cool.
movie
Yeah.
in the Destiny universe,
No, that's a good thought because then like okay, we're living an experience that
mhm,
predates all of the events in the Destiny anyway, right now
yeah,
here in real life. So if you were to try to like timeline it for us as humans
yeah,
having a human experience outside of the game, a lot of the things that they referred to would have been from our timeline, which would have been their past, right?
yeah,
And like even the Cryptarch has mentioned a few things like, what is this? You know,
yeah,
and
and I'm sorry, that's
no,
something that like that's like what cinches it for me because the Cryptarchs are supposed to be like master historians and they're picking up Playboys and being like, yes, these were
yeah,
like pre Golden Age
yeah, with the,
practices. They used to worship pumpkins during this season.
yeah,
And it's like, what are you talking about?
yeah. Well, you know, in his defense, you know, it could have been like a risque issue of freaking like good homes or better homes or something.
Yeah, I guess it could have been like,
Uh,
but I mean, that's really risky. But
you
so,
know,
go on.
but it is funny though because like even the cryptarchs don't
Hmm.
specifically understand the past, and they
No.
argue amongst one another. One of the things I learned very early on in D1 was that the cryptarchs can't agree on what happened in history because they don't know what's real and what's not. Which is kind of funny because if you think about the writers writing a backstory for all the people in the game, um, you know, they kind of have these fragments of what happened before, you know, the collapse and the pre-golden age and all that stuff. So they have to piece it together to come up with kind of like this jigsaw puzzle of what was the world like before us,
Hmm.
right?
Hmm.
And so they don't, there's a lot of things that make them doubt whether or not this actually really existed or this was this. And then there's some things that they all agree upon were actual things, right? So it's just funny what they argue about and then what they actually agree upon.
Yeah.
And for them, who knows? I mean, it could all just be, you know, completely um, non-existent, you know,
Hmm.
because they're having an experience that we don't really, you know. Anyway, it's a rabbit hole.
But so just to finish my point on Nezarek, let me ask you if you recall this. Do you remember back in Shadowkeep, Eris having a line talking about how the Lunar Pyramid was there since before the Golden Age?
Yes, yeah,
Okay, so you recall that. So basically, we have the Lunar Pyramid, which seems to have the unique ability of creating nightmares. And what are
yep,
nightmares? Nightmares are like fiction pulled out of your head that is
yep.
going to torment you. And like, what if us of Hated Nezarek was like this like huge horror thing, and it was like Blair Witch, right? Like everyone was terrified of it. Everyone thought it was real. Everyone was like, oh my god.
It turned out to
And
be junk,
yeah, it was always junk. The Lunar Pyramid doesn't give a shit about that. The Lunar
right?
Pyramid gets all this psychic energy from everyone on Earth and creates Nezarek, a nightmare of Nezarek. So in Nezarek's fiction, Nezarek becomes real. And so Nezarek's Whisper, again, the entry doesn't fucking mention Nezarek once. It just mentions Eris finding the glaive, which is apparently named Nezarek's Whisper, and it has the flavor text: Rise, disciple, and bear the gift with pride. Pride, Rolk, disciple of the witness. And like all that means to me is that a disciple was gifted Nezarek's Whisper. And it's not like Rolk's glaives were never named after himself. It
Right.
was Relic's Ward, Relic's Bane, and then Lubre's Ruin. Like that was his one glaive named three times, and it makes sense, in my opinion, to have the Lunar Pyramid create a Nightmare of Nezarek, and then to get this glaive that's kind of like you created the Nightmare
Yeah,
of
yeah,
Nezarec. Here you go, Nezarec's Whisper.
it's interesting.
And
Well,
that's
it'll tie into the lore card too, because I think like if you think about like nightmares and emanations of,
hmm
psychological horror.
yeah. I
But yeah,
really
it's
I would love though to actually see because that historian position that opened up a while ago, almost like a year ago now, right?
right.
At Destiny, it was at Bungie. It was supposed to be to uh, have a central figurehead who can keep everything together because they're planning on branching out into other forms of media, and it's
Mhm.
like, so where's the Nezarec movie, right? Like,
Right.
create the Nezarec movie, and then have the Nezarec movie release alongside the season where we fight the nightmare of Nezarec, and it's like
Oh, that's so cool.
this whole like thing of like learning where Nezarec came from out of the game and then fighting the nightmare of Nezarec in the game. And it's just like so much can be done with
One
this.
could dream, dude. That would be so cool.
Yeah.
That's funny you say that because this topic comes up all the time. Would Destiny make a good TV show or movie or whatever? And yeah, absolutely it would. You just have to treat it as if there are episodic stories of
hmm
individual
hmm
characters instead of trying to encapsulate the entire universe. Kind of like
If I don't see John Guardian's ass in the second episode, I'm turning it off.
I just want I just want I mean I can dream, right? But I just want a series where like, maybe the first episode is about just a particular character having
Yeah.
an experience in the world and he's walking past known characters, right?
hmm
And then at the end of the series for that season, they all have this one last episode which kind of ties them all together because all of these parallel stories somewhat converge
hmm
into this like drive by of these guys were there, this, remember when that guy did this or this guy
hmm
did that, kind of like this tangled web of holy crap, that was all for a reason. We needed to know why Eris was doing this. We needed to know why so and so was doing this. And then these characters that we hardly hear about
Yeah.
are the central figures, and they're having this experience. That way, Bungie doesn't destroy their lore and upset all their fan base, but at the same time, they give a whole new story with callbacks
Yeah.
to all of the rich lore they have.
I would love that. And like
Yeah.
even if they just wanted to keep it smaller than that, like just give
Sure.
me a story about Saint, give me a story about Zavala, give me a story about Eris, give me a story about someone I've never heard of and will never be brought up in the game in the first place.
Yeah,
Like,
just and then we have this whole other thing about that one person.
yeah,
Yeah.
like complete, like let it exist, like kind of what the first season of The Mandalorian did, where it's like, yeah, it exists in the Star Wars universe, but it has nothing to do with fucking Jedi's or any
There
of
you
that
go.
shit. And it's just like
Exactly.
that's why it was so great.
Yeah.
And
But
I
I
want to see
always,
the
I
second season.
always, with like horror and fantasy and sci-fi, I always yearn for that semi, um, twist,
hmm
like that thing that kind of makes you go, "Oh crap, Black Mirror," right? Like there's like
hmm
that one thing that's like on the line of morality, and then you see like the bad of what happens when you do
Yeah,
something bad or whatever.
and
Anyway,
there's absolutely potential there for that as well. Like you can have an episode following a warlord, and they like frame it as if they're
yeah,
the good person, and then it like is revealed they're going up against the Iron Lords, and like how
yeah.
horrible they actually
Can you
are.
imagine how cool that would be?
Yeah, so
Like, oh
you
crap,
spend
we're the bad guys.
30 minutes rooting for this guy, and you're like, wait, what? Like he's just murdering people for
Uh-huh.
no fucking reason. I thought he was protecting everyone. I thought like these guys were like he's seeding propaganda in his community, and anyone who finds
Yeah.
out the truth, he just kills
Yeah.
and yeah, shit like that. There's so much potential in the Destiny universe
Yeah, there really is.
for things that would fit better outside of the
Yeah.
game.
See, I think what happens is a lot of people they don't they don't put themselves at a bird's eye view of
Yeah.
the rich history and story inside the Destiny universe.
hmm
They narrowly focus their mind on the central characters that they've grown to love, like Cade, right? Everybody
Yeah.
would be like, "Oh, I want a whole freaking season of Cade," and whatever,
It's a
everything. No, you know that story. So like Why
I
would you
just
want that? Why not just make Cade a background character
yeah,
and then explain something that happened with Andal,
yeah.
or explain something that happened with, somebody else that ran by him at this one particular moment?
I would love to see like a running gag if they were to do like an anthology series where it's like every episode at some point, Kate is in the background just like fucking something up.
Yeah, there you
Like
go.
in Forsaken when he does all the buttons,
Yes.
just
Like
like
he's
something
making
like that.
coffee and he breaks the pot in the
Yeah.
background, looking up, and it's
Yeah.
like not even a part of the scene. He's just back there.
Yeah. Like don't even draw attention to it. Just let it exist
It'd be so
in its own
awesome.
little
Does
pocket.
every episode have something with
Yeah.
like a shot of
Yeah.
Cade doing something
Like
dumb?
they're in a bar and the jukebox stops and Cade's like, "Oh, I'll fix it." Like don't even
Yeah.
address that the jukebox stops and then Cade walks into the background of the scene and he punches the jukebox and shatters the glass and they're like, "Get the fuck out of here." Just
Like the
have him
fawns.
cause chaos.
Yeah. Yeah. One can dream.
Maybe one day. I mean, I feel like that's really the future of Destiny. I feel like they've created
So much. And
so much
and
of a
and
universe.
I hate to whine, but I really feel, and this is, and if you feel different, that's fine. And this is just my little bitty baby opinion, my baby fit opinion. As far as the game is concerned, there's too much. I don't like it. I don't
Um,
like all of the micromanaging of the
mhm.
materials and the perks and the millions and billions of this, that, and the others that
Yeah.
really become irrelevant after season. And it just, I understand it's there to help engage the player base and make
Hmm.
them want to continue to play, but all it does for me is make me stare at this Niagara Falls of stuff inevitably going off a cliff.
Yeah.
And then I just keep waiting for the next thing and waiting for the next thing because I know that in my playing experience, I'm never going to attain all of it. So
Hmm.
why even bother? And I feel like I'm not the only one. I feel like there are a lot of people out there that feel like me. And I want, I don't necessarily want the game to change.
Hmm.
I just want there to be some way for people like us
Hmm.
to experience the game without having to feel required to have all of those things.
Yeah. Like
And I
min
know they're
max.
trying. I know they're trying really hard. Like they've, made the seasonal missions that start off a playable by everybody by
Hmm.
raising your light. But all that does is kind of all it does is kind of you know hurt the people that have been grinding,
Yeah.
and then you make them have a disdain for the game in another way. And so like I just wish that there was a way that they could kind of help have two parallel experiences without infringing on one another, like two lanes on a highway going to the same place. That's all I want. You want
Hmm.
to be in the fast lane, you want to be in the slow lane, and you're getting there regardless. But if you switch lanes at any point, you're not feeling like you're sacrificing. That's all I want.
Like min maxing is fun. That's a part of video games where like for Monster Hunter, for example, like you spend all this time like creating your armor and stuff, getting your decorations and all your perks and everything, and then you have it. It's like there you go. Now you just get to be there. But in Destiny, and I love having seasons every 3 months. I love having more story, more content every 3 months. But having more story and more content, and also more min maxing every 3 months, it does get exhausting. I have taken like a
Yeah,
step back. I'm like, you know what? I don't need to
yeah,
do this. I have a few good things, and I'm pretty set. But like I have friends who are so fucking diehard, and like more power to them where they just like grind out like all the good shit again and again and
right.
again and again and again. And like I kind of like dip my toe in that, and sometimes the RNG is accessible to the point where I'm actually able to get a few good things, and sometimes it isn't, and I just kind of like have to deal with being a little subpar. But it doesn't really matter. I feel like they have like an almost good balance, but it needs a little more, like
Right,
maybe
right.
with weapon crafting or something, there needs to be an alternative to make it a little more like open the door a little bit more for more casual players.
Right. Yeah. And then, like if you want to be a grind diehard headbanger, maybe make your damn glitter on your armor, or
Hmm.
maybe make this thing one thing glow, right, every
Hmm.
season while you're playing. I don't care. That's fine. But give me a piece of basic armor that has just as much viability as your glowing, glittery, you know, crazy looking armor. I don't like for me having an experience. I just want to shoot some aliens and not feel like
Hmm.
I have to go do 10 100 things before I get to do that one thing
Hmm.
that I just want to do. And I hate to say it, but I keep pulling it up. Bungie's roots are in Halo, which is a completely different experience. They created Halo. Bungie made Halo. Now, I say that they also made Marathon. They also made, other games that were completely different. So I get it. They've made this one game which kind of is catering to all of the different types of games. And I don't even know what they're calling it now, but I've heard like weird stuff come out recently, like movement shooter. I don't even know what that means. But what I'm saying is, if they want to keep going forward with this, they need to like they need to find a way to keep it simple for
Hmm.
certain people and then allow it to be complex and crazy for other people and let those people just play the game together because
Yeah.
and I'll bring it up again. If I switch on Halo Infinite and play the game, I know what to expect. Everybody has the same exact weapon, gear, whatever. Outside of cosmetics, nobody is different. It comes down to skill versus skill when we're playing multiplayer. And then
Hmm.
there's the actual game, which is just this rich open world that you get to run around and shoot aliens in. But with that game, it needs more of what Destiny brought, like replayable missions, raids, strikes, stuff like that. As far as Destiny goes, Destiny needs more of what Halo has. Strip it
Hmm.
down, make it simple, make it refined, tuned, balanced,
See,
and
I don't know if
fun
I agree
for
with that.
people of all walks. And I
Hmm.
don't want I don't want and like I said, I don't want it to infringe on headbangers. I just
Yeah.
want other people to have viability, access to the same type of stuff. I don't want you to give free exotics to everybody or
Yeah.
free raid gear to everybody. That's not what I'm saying. All I'm
Yeah, I get
saying
you.
is give a path and give an armor set that has, a basic set of stats that you can take into a raid or that you can take into Crucible. Like here are the guns for Crucible that are all viable, and you can just go to Shaxx and say, "Hey, give me that gun."
And see, that's what I mean. Where like they I think they just need to open it a little bit more because I feel
Yeah,
like they already have
they're close.
that
They're so
stuff.
close. They're so close.
Well, I mean, I don't know. I guess I kind of disagree with you there because like min maxing your stats on armor, mods 100% should be available for purchase. It should not be on a rotation of two mods a week, and
Yeah,
maybe it's here
maybe
and maybe it's
that's
not. That's
yeah,
ridiculous. But your armor, it's like you can go in with garbage armor to any raid and it will be fine. Most of the raid experiences that I've had, I go in, I'm like, what should I equip? And there's like, whatever you like. Just maybe not whatever you like. Maybe it's like, okay, well, you're doing ad clear. Don't
yeah,
equip a sniper, but within reason, whatever you want. Like, do you like bows? You can put on
right.
the arc one that I can't remember the name of, or you can put on Tiku's. Do you like auto rifles? There's a huge selection of auto rifles you can put on. So many. There's so much freedom. It's just like that min max of like, are we going to two phase or are we going to one phase? And it's like, who cares
Right.
if we two phase? That's
Yeah, I think
fine.
that's the difference. Like you and I right now having this discussion. I'm looking at it from a PvP perspective.
Yeah, okay, that's fair. I have like no
because
experience in
because
PvP.
PvE, you're right. Like I can go in any mission, any raid, any
Yeah,
strike, and just use whatever I want
yeah.
for the
For the most
most
part,
part.
yeah.
And I
Especially if
have
it
a
isn't like a legendary campaign. You got
yeah.
to do a little
Like
more. You got to work a little
well, I get
harder.
that. Like I get that. That's
Yeah.
there. That's reserved for like okay, I can play Halo on legendary with all skulls on.
Hmm.
I'm gonna just die over and over and over and be miserable. But that's if I want to do that, that's there. But if I don't want to do that, I'm gonna put it on, heroic mode and just run.
Hmm. Yeah, no, I get you. Well,
But
we immediately
yeah,
derailed.
no. Yeah, I know. Sorry.
Do you want to do the lore card?
Yeah.
All right, lore card is up.
Two lore nerds trying to talk about gameplay.
I like this shell. Although
Yeah, it's pretty
it
cool.
kind of looks almost like candles are coming
That's what
off
I
the
thought.
top. Like I know what it's going for, but it's just like it kind of loses it just a little bit at the end.
Yeah. Well, I don't know if you watch Stranger Things.
I haven't seen the fourth season, but I mean, I watch it. I'm not. I remember like season one, I was like, "Wow, that's really good," and season two, I
Okay,
was like, "Oh,
so
that's pretty good," and
all
season
right,
three, I was like,
yeah.
"Yeah, that's all right."
Okay, so I'm not going to spoil it for anybody out there, but I said the same thing you just did, and then I
Yeah,
watched it, and oh my God, it's the best of all of the seasons so
really?
far. Yes, I don't give a crap what anybody says. I'm
Okay.
having a blast watching it. I haven't gone through it all,
Yeah,
but so up until this point, I have been very pleased.
yeah. Like there's
Very,
always been
very,
like
very.
there's always been like moments in Stranger Things where I'm like, "Oh, that was awesome. That was really good.
Well,
Like that was
they're
really fun
doing
or
a
whatever."
really, really good job. Like
Yeah,
they've nailed it down narratively. They're doing a really good job of just like punching you in the face at the end of every single episode.
yeah.
I
Okay.
love that. Okay.
Yeah,
So anyway,
I intend to watch it. So let's get on with
yeah.
the. No,
Yeah.
they actually said it in game. It's called the pronunciation kind of threw me a little bit because I know I call it egregor, but it's pronounced like egregor.
Egregore.
Egregor.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's like
Yeah.
the cadence of it is not
Yeah.
how my brain wants to say it.
I know, me too. I kept calling it Egregore.
Well, that's definitely not it.
I when I first read it, way back when we had the whole, thing with
In
what's his
Pressage,
yeah, that's
that
how I
was the
was reading
first
it. I was
time.
like, what
Yeah.
is this? At first, I was like, who's Igor? I I didn't even see the other G.
That's funny.
Anyway, so egregore is an ancient Greek word. It means wakeful. It's got some eponyms. So anyway, it's egregoros, which is its root, form. Uh, in a nutshell, it's an occult concept representing a certain non physical entity that arises from the collective thoughts of a distinct group of people. These thought forms can manifest as positive or negative ghosts and shadows. And I picked the word ghosts and shadows because that's one of the flavors that they use to describe what is emanating from this thought form. So, if you think about destiny, you think about our nightmares. They are physical manifestations of our nightmares, our worst fears, our thoughts. There are forms of our thoughts that we are having in game, or like if you're Crow, it's Uldren is his nightmare, right?
Hmm.
He's created this nightmare for himself. So it plays on that whole idea. And historically, the concept referred to angelic beings or watchers and the specific rituals and practices associated. Also, it refers to a psychic manifestation, can't speak this morning, or thought form occurring when a group shares a common motivation made up of and influencing the thoughts of the group. What does that mean? Okay, so like a circle of people have a thought, and this forms from that thought,
Hmm.
right? So it can be related to a group, it can be related to a singular person. It's just these are the ways that it goes, right? The concept of egregorial powers has its roots in the book of Enoch. So this is where it gets a little biblical, which is an ancient Hebrew apocalyptic religious text that tells of fallen angels and describes the origins of demons and Nephilim. Nephilim are angels.
Hmm.
That comes from ancient Greek
Okay.
or ancient Egypt, actually. Nephilim. So anyway, the general concept of egregore is not evil. It has been defined as a variation of a group mind, which is created when people consciously come together for a common purpose. When a group of people pray and meditate collectively towards an objective, an egregore of protection and blessing can be sent forth as a circle of light that shields and safeguards. It is often described as an aura atmosphere that can take on its own personality.
Hmm.
So you think about like Crow and Aldrin, right? That's
Yeah.
where my mind goes. Within the occult or magical context, an egregore is a general imprint that is created by and encircles a group entity. The egregore develops to the point of attaining an independent existence as an entity of itself, such as a servitor. Like,
Hmm.
not servitor fallen, but a servitor is named after another thing. Anyway, all
It's
living things.
eerie how similar the, egregores kind of sound like nightmares.
Yeah, right. So all living things are in one way or another considered to be connected to an egregore. This is just a blanket, like if you're into this stuff, this is just a blanket way that they explain it, right?
Okay.
So all living things are in one way connected to or another connected to a egregore. The concept can be either negative or positive. Most negative connections with egregore are believed to come from negative dealings in exchange for power, fame, material goods, or revenge, right? You think about like bad deals, like make a deal with the devil and something, like, yeah, you can be
Hmm.
famous, but here's the bad part of it, right?
Yeah.
Uh, So when a soul anima, I put anima in there because you don't want to tie a religious context to it. When a soul or anima becomes bound by these types of negative egregore, astral matter can manifest as thought forms or as a holographic projection. Ghost-like specters which feed on their vital energies.
Like literally nightmares.
Yeah. So there is a positive version of an egregore that brings blessings and protections against negative forces and can be personal or collective. The egregore of the Umbra are believed to be comprised of souls that were negativated and submitting to an unnatural set of behaviors that are not inherently ideal for any spiritually enhanced human being. I had to word that specifically without trying to bring in any kind of morality or good or bad. That was a hard sentence to write. But
Huh.
basically, the egregore of the Umbra are believed to be comprised of souls that were negativated by submitting to an unnatural set of behaviors that are not inherently ideal for any spiritual enhanced human being. Positive thoughts create luminous personal egregore, and negative thoughts create egregore of the umbra. Quotes, shadow. An observer in the umbra experiences a total eclipse. It is believed that the only way to get rid of a negative egregore is to align with a stronger positive one
Hmm.
in lore card. So this one was really crazy because if you think about everything that's been happening lately, this really, really ties into a lot of that. I love that it came up as a ghost shell because it gave me an
Yeah.
opportunity to define it as a lore card.
So remember back when Pressage came out, we were talking about like, oh, are we gonna get this like kind of like plant power because like the plant is like the after effect, kind of like how stasis crystals are the after effect. But
Yeah.
this is kind of making me think the plant power, the egregore power. What was it called? Sarcophagus growth and something else.
Yes.
There is a word that we liked for it.
Oh, lichen.
The lichen? Yeah, okay. So then the lichen power, well, that sounds like a fucking werewolf. So the egregore power, and the nightmare power are one and the same. Well, it's no, because yeah, well, the egregore
Well, it's
power and the
lichen
nightmare,
Liche and
yeah,
lichen
lichen.
Lycon is yeah.
I'll just
But
call it
yeah,
lichen. The
yeah,
lichen
lichen.
and the egregore are one and the same. And now I'm thinking, like, are we gonna get like a nightmare power? Is that gonna be like one of them? Because that is interesting.
Hmm.
Because it
Hmm.
seems almost as if like Callus went and said, "Hey, Darkness, I want some powers," just like how Aramis kind of did. And
Yeah.
Aramis got stasis, and Callus appears to have gotten the egregore power, and now his
Right.
Leviathan, it's growing these lichen weeds,
Yeah.
all around.
Okay. So if you're in his pleasure gardens and you look at the
Uh-huh.
tree forms and you kind of step back and look at the tree forms, there are a couple of trees that look exactly like the mysterious plant that's in the back of Drifter's ship.
I wish we need to like figure out a
You
way to
know?
do like a pre-show and just like run through an episode of the show and then try to organically have these moments again. So I can be like, it's funny that you mentioned that because I have a picture right here, and it's like hit the picture and bring it up because
Just
that,
too smart for that.
yeah, we're that I because I was so I haven't actually I played the first day of the
Yeah,
expansion and that was it. And then I
yeah,
moved and then I was here and uh I played the
yeah.
second sever mission today. I made sure I went through and got through that. I did not get to play the prophecy dungeon, but I understand in the not prophecy dungeon. Fuck's the dungeon called? Duality. I understand that in the duality dungeon that we are fighting a nightmare of title
Yeah, I watched the whole thing.
because that is Callus's greatest regret. And it's like he I don't so you've watched the dungeon. What's the premise of the dungeon? Are we going in to stop something of Callus's?
Well, yeah, but you don't know that at first. So what happens
But so
is,
so so Callus is controlling the nightmare of title.
okay, so remember when I brought up Stranger Things?
Please.
Okay, so like in the duality dungeon, there's an upside down.
Oh yeah, I've heard about that.
Okay, so I
Spoilers for the
love how
duality dungeon if you
yeah.
have hesitated a full week to get in.
I
I
don't
have.
know that you could avoid it at this point. And if you
Yeah.
have, then don't listen to this. But so yeah, the duality, the name of the dungeon is right there in front of your face. There's a duality. There's two layers of what is it? There's the nightmare realm,
Mm-hmm.
okay? And then there's like just normal. So when you're having the experience in the game, in order to get to the nightmare realm, you have to like do a couple of mechanics to, go here, go there, and there are these bells, which I thought that was a little I thought that was a little interesting, but I
Mm-hmm.
really can't define why other than like sound and, you know, this whole game loves to play with the idea of like music and sound and how do you break a whisper with noise and drowning out. Anyway, so they have these bells. You shoot the bell turns everything into a nightmare realm. Then you go in the nightmare realm and you have to like move a statue or do this thing or do that thing, and then it comes back, and then whatever you did in the nightmare realm affected the normal realm.
Okay.
So it's kind of that's the mechanic. Like, but you can't see what you're doing when you're in having one experience to the other. You just kind of have to figure it out.
Okay. Interesting.
So it's a little complicated, honestly. And as a player, it's probably I would say it's probably not one of the more approachable dungeons for most people.
That's what I've
It's
heard.
just yeah. So a lot of people have kind of fussed about that, which I get
Yeah.
because there's a lot of do this, that, and the other. And
I
anyway,
mean, dungeons are meant to be like with intent to solo and having this like
oh
very team oriented setting. It kind of defeats it, in my opinion. But I
yeah.
mean, that's whatever. But so we're going in there to kill the Nightmare of Keitel, which is apparently one of Callus's nightmares. Are we doing that for Callus? Like, isn't it smart for us to leave the Nightmare of Keitel to torment Callus?
I mean, you make a good point, and I didn't think about that. But yeah, it almost feels like we're being led down there
Yeah,
on purpose.
yeah.
And I brought it up early on, right before the season came out. But I wanted to recap and kind of explain to people, hey, remember, Callus loved you. You know,
Yeah, he used to. I don't think he still
yeah,
does.
I know.
So in the second week of Sever, Eris mentions what a nightmare actually is. And she describes a nightmare is formed from three things, and it's like your despair, or your something, and your something. One of them was actually your desire. And so I wonder I wonder if nightmares are strictly things that are intended to torment us, or if you can like get like a twisted like torment is good desire, and it's like Callus is thinking, who's the strongest nightmare I can bring out from
Yeah.
myself, and the strongest nightmare he can bring out is a nightmare of Keitel. And it's like, yeah, she's his greatest regret, but he's going to use that regret to like kill us, and that's
Yeah, I
why
like it. Yeah, I like it. Well,
I really
because
think
he
he's
can use
controlling nightmares.
that's the scary thing about what's happening right now, because if he has learned that ability to use nightmares to his at his disposal, kind of like Drifter using the Taken,
Yeah,
if Callus can use nightmares for his own nefarious goals, whatever, then you've got to question like, all right, so how do if nightmares are emanations of your worst behavior, fear, whatever, desire, whatever, then what do you do against a character that doesn't have that? Well, Rolk is the perfect example of that because he is kind of like I make a joke that he's like the dominatrix of the raid. He's kind of like the dom, steps on
okay.
you and all that, and then like all the names of the weapons are like submission and yada yada yada. Anyway, so he loves the pain and the idea of being in control of everything. Like that's where he gets his rocks off, right? Is that
Hmm.
whole having that, and so it's really hard to have a nightmare of Rolk
Hmm.
for somebody who has no, you know what I mean? So it's almost kind of like a masochistic relationship with the darkness. Like Callus is there,
Yeah,
he is on that precipice. Like he understood that the only way to truly align with the dark is to accept, right?
like
Accept the
he fucked
darkness.
his own body up. Like he's right up
Yeah.
there, with the fucking what is it, Zenobite?
Yeah.
Like
Yeah.
Callus's whole thing is like insane amounts of pleasure, and it's like, well, at what point did he get it twisted and pleasure and pain kind of overlapped?
How does that work for somebody? Like when is how far is too far?
Yeah.
And I love the quote, but anyway, I'll save it for another day. But the whole thing about Callus, remember when we had the Siva Fallen, the splicers.
Splicers before.
Okay. And Siva was so um it was like a drug for them. It was so overwhelmingly pleasurable that they felt that the only way to ascend to godhood is to just let it take over their entire vessel that they are. What they didn't understand was Siva was just rewriting them.
Yeah.
They thought they were becoming godlike and they were
Hmm.
ascending when in reality they were just becoming overwhelmed with Siva and blah blah blah. But the fallen were willing to let that happen because the feeling was so good. They just didn't understand they were just becoming machines and being converted. So same goes for Callus. Callus feels so good about the darkness that he is allowing himself to just be a blob of jello and take on whatever form is next.
Yeah. And kind of in line with the Siva talk, Numbskull Designs are the ones who made that Witch Queen one with like the like
That's
16
really
inch
cool looking.
wingspan.
Yeah.
Yeah. So Numbskull, if you're listening, and I know that you are, where's the Axis one?
Yeah. Dude,
I
that would be cool.
imagine a 16-foot span Axis, 16-inch
Yeah.
foot, like massive fucking Axis. That would go somewhere in this room.
It's not marketable. It's not relevant at the moment.
It doesn't need to be relevant. Well, you know what? It will be relevant when they bring back Wrath of the
When they bring
Machine.
back, yeah, when they bring back the raid, get on it. Let's go.
Axis is one of my favorite raid encounters. Wrath of the Machine as a whole is one of my favorite raid encounters.
Yeah. I agree. I kind of agree with you because the playability of that one is accessible to everyone.
Yeah.
It's not like ridiculous. It's not like
Mm.
King's Fall
And
was.
it had those moments where it was like You
Hero
don't have
moments.
to do it. Yeah, it was filled with hero moments, but I wasn't
Yeah.
even talking about that.
Oh,
It had the moment, the abilities to do things that you didn't have to do, but if you were good enough, you could do it and you would get rewarded
yeah.
for it in the final fight. If you were to what was it? You dunked in a certain way and you got your
Backwards or
super back.
yeah, I think it was backwards or something I don't
No, it
remember.
wouldn't be
It's been a
backwards.
minute.
That's weird.
What was
But yeah,
it?
I forget. But whatever it was, basically, for anyone who didn't ever do the Wrath of the
Maybe
Machine,
I'm thinking
you
Rift.
would have three zones: the outer edge, and then the lower mids section, and you would get an arc, a solar, and a void, and you would have to bring the arc to the arc section and the void to the void section, and they would come out wherever the fuck they came out,
Oh, that's
and
right.
their sections would be wherever the hell their sections were. And it was like kind of like determined, like live determined where it had to go. And that's where the hero moment came from. Cause it's like you're on left and it's like, oh, you need to get all the way over to right. But as you did that, the person in mid died. So on your way back, you need to grab the mid and bring that all the way back to left. And now the person on right died, and you're the only one who can save the day. You need to go all the way back to the right side and bring that to mid. And it's just like it's this chaos, but not such chaos that it's like overwhelming. I mean, it can be overwhelming, but it gives you the moment, it gives you the chance to like step up and save the day. But
Right.
in that action of like dunking, there was a mechanic that would replenish your everyone's super would immediately replenish. So it's just like every DPS phase, boom, supers ready, go. Let's
I remember
light them
that.
up.
That's right.
That was fun.
That was fun. You know, the Crota raid was a lot of people don't like.
I love Crota's End as well.
Yeah, that was my favorite raid.
Especially after the revamp. Even before the revamp, I thought it was so much
Yeah,
fun, but
yeah.
especially after the revamp, it was so great.
But you know what's funny about that raid is how ridiculously complicated the first part was for people to figure out.
Yeah.
My God, that was so difficult. Like it was in complete darkness, you know? What?
Yeah.
Where am I going? There's a whole start over.
This thralls coming at you, lanterns that
Oh
are
man, just
exploding.
scratching your back the entire time.
You had to wait
Icebreaker was a good one.
you had to
Sorry.
wait for the bridge to form. You didn't know, like I can imagine not really, because that was really early in Destiny too. We were still learning what things were, like how
Yeah,
things were done. We were still there figuring it out. We weren't where we are now, where we see a plate and we're like, okay, well, this is a plate. This will power
yeah,
something to generate. Oh, it's probably going to generate that. Okay, let's just hang out on this plate and hold it down.
yeah. The lamps.
Yeah,
Hey,
that was
we got a mechanic like that just recently. Wasn't it last season at the end with the lamps?
in Season of the Lost, and there was a season before Season of the Lost. I forget where that the lamps returned, but they weren't exactly necessary. They were just kind of there.
Oh.
And also in what is it? Is it the birthing chamber? That sounds weird.
Oh!
What's the worm chamber strike where the worm larva is created?
Yeah, I don't remember the name of that one. That was a good mission though.
No, it's a strike.
Oh, it was a strike. Yeah, it was a
I'm
good
pretty
strike.
sure in that strike you go through the swamp and basically you have archways, and when you pass through the archway it activates a lamp and you can go to the lamp and the lamp will explode, but you
Yeah,
can
that's the
go
one I
to
was
the
thinking
lamp.
of.
Yeah. That's
Yeah,
that oh yeah, that was immediately last season. I thought you were
yeah,
talking
yeah.
about Season of the Lost,
No,
which in the moon what the fuck do they call it? The metaverse?
mm,
The spaces between the ascendant plane and reality,
yeah,
whatever the hell that place was,
the metaverse.
whatever the hell that place was, they had lamps in there too.
Uh, yeah, yeah.
And so, I'm really glad that we talked about the egregor, just to get back to that, because in the second Sever mission, Crow is able to face his nightmare of Aldrin, and in facing it, he actually changes what the nightmare is, and it's more than just color, but effectively it's just color change, where it goes from black and red to blue and white, which ever since fucking forever, like Red Eyes Black Dragon, blue eyes white dragon. Like that's always what it is. Um, so it makes sense to me that we're gonna get an egregor power that gives us a nightmare ability, but our nightmares will be blue and white
Yeah.
because
Well,
we
it
need
is
another
funny.
blue color for our color wheel.
That's probably yeah. That's true. What do we even have now?
We have
What is
purple,
solar? Solar's
orange,
orange, right?
orange, light blue, dark blue, and even lighter blue.
No, we need red.
And then taken will be like a darker purple.
Darker
So
purple.
it's just kind of like it's like blue colors and orange.
No, we need red.
You'll go
I
from a
feel bad
you'll
for
go from
colorblind
you'll
people.
go for a Gregor, then you'll go Arc, then you'll go Stasis, then you'll go Void, and then you'll go Taken, and then Solar's just off doing its own fucking thing.
Well, what do we have? We need okay. We have purple, orange, and blue.
Yeah,
But
and
we
the
don't have
purples the
but
purples
we don't have red.
we
We
don't have
don't have
green.
yellow,
We
and
don't
we
have
don't have
green.
green.
Yeah.
Red, yellow, green.
Well, we have purple, orange, blue, and blue. So that's not gonna happen.
3.0 is going to come out a different color.
Yes, Stasis 3.0 is gonna be pretty sweet.
I mean, but is Stasis? Why is Stasis blue? I mean, I
Why do
get it,
you?
like
Well, I get
ice,
why
water.
stasis is blue. Why is arc blue? When has electricity ever been considered blue? It's
Oh man,
always yellow.
no, it's always blue.
When has it ever been blue?
Look at the sparks. Look at the look electricity off of fingers has always been blue. Like in like any kind of sci-fi.
Yeah, but I mean, like
Think
in video game, like attributes. Like you look at Pokemon, it's electric is yellow.
Pokemon.
You look at any RPG, if they have an electric ability, it's a yellow. It's a yellow lightning icon.
Oh yeah, I guess Pikachu was yellow, wasn't he?
Well, I mean, yes, Pikachu is also yellow. But yellow is electric. Why is arc blue in the first place?
Kid, make it yellow.
It should be yellow. And then stasis can be blue, and taken can be purple, and egregore can be green, and solar can be red, and void can be orange.
Void orange.
Yeah, you don't know what the void looks like, man. Why does it have to be? Why does it have to be purple? It makes more sense this way.
I don't know. Just make solar purple.
I've never seen a purple fire.
I mean, there are purple suns.
Really?
Well, suns. There are purple stars.
Effectively, the same thing.
Yeah.
That's interesting, though. I didn't know that.
We're having a color crisis in this game. We need to figure it out.
I went to get caffeine this morning, and they fucked it
Uh-huh.
up so bad. They fucked up my coffee so
Why?
bad. They just weren't paying attention to what I wanted. And this is my sideboard. This is where I make my own coffee, and I don't have any coffee, so I can't make it myself. So I'm like at the edge of exhaustion right now. I'm so fucking so gone. Like I woke up at fucking 4 in the morning just to get ready for all this, and moving has not stopped. It's just been an unend.
Yeah, no
But yeah,
worries. The
um,
Delirious Anon is probably better anyway.
I, I'm trying to keep the show on point, but it's really hard because my brain is all over the
So,
fucking
like,
place right
okay,
now.
so you're right though. In the era of balancing everything, like color wise, why isn't it red, yellow, blue, purple, green, orange? So,
Then your primary colors could be
well, your
well
primary
no
and secondary colors are what everything is made out of. So you got primary and then secondary. There's the six colors. Just use them. Don't
yeah
make
but
everything blue.
so let me ask you this then,
All right,
because we're so fucking off track already. Destiny apparently is working on their new project, and it's called
matter.
Goliath. No, Destiny, not
Oh,
Bungie.
Oh, okay. Sorry.
Destiny is working on its new project and it's codenamed Goliath. And so we already know where the Light and Dark saga ends with Final Shape. We already expect to see a new power in Lightfall and a new power in Final Shape because it would be kind of weird to get a new dark power after the darkness has been defeated, and we're expecting to see 3 dark powers. Um, do you think we're going to see anything after Final Shape? Are we just done with new powers? Like we're going back to that because if we go from getting
Final Shape is
so
so
much,
far away. It's so far away. I think by the time Final Shape happens, it'll just be Guardian Collection time, 10th anniversary of D1. Let's start everything over and make one big game.
Destiny Classic will do the World of Warcraft thing.
Yeah, yeah. I think
But like the we're going from light 3.0, light 3.0, light 3.0, darkness 2, darkness 3. Like it's so bam 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 bam. What comes
matter.
after that?
What's the matter? What's the
Matter
matter, Bungie?
matter is unrelated.
What's the matter?
Matter is not
Nezarek is the matter.
matter is not a Destiny property.
I know.
But Goliath apparently is.
Well, Destiny wasn't a Halo property, and it was in
It was
Halo
teased.
ODST.
It
Yeah.
was teased. That's different. Yeah, Nezarek is actually the villain in Matter. That's what they're gonna do.
Yeah.
Oh shit, I can actually see them doing that. Depending on
See?
what Matter is, like I can see them
Right.
actually
What's the
doing it with
matter?
Matter.
What's the matter, Bungie? What's the
Put it on a
matter?
shirt.
I'm going to.
wear that to events.
Yeah. I
Yeah,
always wanted a shirt that was like your I forget what I was gonna say. Anyway.
so really, do you think we're gonna get new powers? Like
Yeah, we have to.
what new powers?
We're gonna
What new
get
powers can we get?
well the Lycan semi
No, but that's gonna be dark. That's
egregore.
gonna be a dark power. After the dark powers, what new powers
We
are there
won't
to
get any
get?
more light powers.
You
No
don't think
more
there's
light
gonna be
powers.
anything else?
No. And what they'll do is they'll do something dumb where like
They'll do like body augmentation powers.
no, they'll do something where like two people get together with two different powers and make a temporary new one with like bonding.
I would not want to see that. I'd be more interested in like body augmentation powers because then it's like you have your light and you have your dark, and these are like paracausal forces, and then you have like man slash alien created forces, and like everyone can finally shut up and get their fucking Siva power, and it will actually
Uh,
work.
I wish that was a thing like already. I
It
just wish
makes
that
no sense, and that's going to be red. So we're back to colors now. So
yeah.
Siva's going to be red, and
Uh, why do you why do you think okay, but why do you think Callus is so haunted though? Because the lore touched on it. If we talk about the shadows, if we bring it back up again, because I'm
okay.
thinking you're making me think about the next like dark power.
Yeah.
All right,
Okay.
all
So
right, all right,
we're going
all
back
right.
to a Grigor.
All right. So
Egregore.
if yeah, so hypothetically, if you like really want to try to figure out what's the next dark power going to be, hypothetically,
It's
if it
absolutely
has
going to be
anything,
Egregore.
something, right?
Well, actually, no, you're right because maybe Egregore is what facilitates the Taken ability as well. Maybe
Exactly,
there's
because
like
if
multifaceted.
right, okay, so it all right. Our Oryx learn how to take from what?
Oryx communed with the deep and came out of the deep, which was a physical place that moved that he was also able to enter and wrote the secrets of how to take on the tablets of ruin.
Uh-huh. Now
And so
Callus,
obviously the deep is a pyramid.
yeah, the pyramid. So if but that was a lie, sorta.
No, I don't think it was a lie.
Okay. Then Oryx flat out got the deep power or got the power from the deep. So he went
Oryx
to the
literally
pyramid.
did what Eris did, except he got taken.
Right.
That's
And
that's how
so
I view it.
And so Callus has found out a way to grab the nightmares,
Yes.
which essentially comes from the pyramid.
Yeah, effectively, yeah. Well,
Yeah.
no, because Callus seems to have gotten that power from going into an anomaly. Because according to, I'd have to open my game to get to it, but because it's in the lore entry of voices in the dark or something like that. It's one of the new books. Keitel, let me see if it's on Ishtar. Voices of the Haunted. No, it's the second entry of Voices of the Haunted, and it's not updated in the API yet.
Okay.
Keitel mentions her, or rather, her advisors mentioned that the Leviathan went into an anomaly, and then when it came out of the anomaly, that's when all of the egregore formed
Yeah.
on it. And here's the crazy thing about that I actually did not want to forget, and I almost did forget. It also mentions that all of the loyalists aboard the Leviathan, when they came out of the anomaly, fucking pieced out. They got the hell out of there, and no one knows. Keitel's trying to figure out where they went because they got out after they escaped the anomaly. But then you're probably wondering, if all the loyalists left, who are we fighting? Who are all these people that we're fighting? Those are newly
Uh,
cloned loyalists that Callus created with even less intelligence. So they're basically just mindless slaves for
like
him.
like Taken.
Yeah, they're effectively taken. They're
They're
clones of his
Callus's version of a Taken.
they're clones of his past loyalists with less intelligence, so he has full control of them.
That's insane.
Right?
That's insane. I did not know that.
So I was reading the entry today, and I was like, I need to bring that up. Like, I know we're not trying to get into the entries too much right now, but that was just too
Right.
big of a thing to not bring up today.
Okay, so something about the deep or the pyramid, sorry. Something
Mm-hmm.
about the pyramid allows this ability to take somewhat, this
Yeah.
ability to like take over your host,
Mm-hmm.
almost like a parasite, whatever. And there's the talk about the whispers, and we found out the whispers origin point kind of comes from the pyramid? Question mark.
The whispers? What are you talking about? The
Yeah.
whispers?
Well, the pyramid was the origin point for the whispers? Question
What
mark.
whispers?
All of them. The whispers in game. All of the different whispers.
The nightmares?
Every whisper, like every mention of whisper.
What are you talking about? Mentions of
Okay, so
whisper.
like but like
This is the first time you said the word whisper. What are you talking about?
I'm just talking about in game. Every time anything mentions a whisper.
Like whisper of the worm came from a pyramid?
Well, if you think about it, the origin point for everything was the pyramid, right?
What are you
For the
talking about?
hive. I'm talking about the hive. I'm talking about the whispers. I'm talking about uh anytime somebody mentions the word whisper, it seems to point at a pyramid.
Okay.
Only now,
The long, slow
because
whisper that the EXO were experiencing. You think that was a pyramid as well?
sure, it has to
Okay.
do with the darkness,
I mean,
clarity
I
control,
guess it might. Yeah, that's true.
clarity control.
Yeah, you're not wrong.
Well, I'm not technically right either, but what's going to be crazy is when we figure out more about the Ahamkara, and then we can kind of narrow it down because right now it's always been like the Ahamkara were parallel to the Hive Whispers, right? The two different whispers that we know about in game. Like,
What are the
not it's
whispers?
I don't know. I don't know what a whisper is. All I know is
You're
that
telling me about the whispers.
maybe I need to whisper it.
You, I feel like you're fucking with me.
If the whispers, okay, if the whispers were the darkness trying to get our attention and lead us down the deep hole into, communing with the dark, whatever, being aligned with the dark, then one could say that its origin point all points to the pyramids, and everything that was created was a direct result of the darkness. So even, and I'm not going to say it, but even the Ahamkara, which we don't know for sure 100% their origin point, could have been a direct result of that. Maybe. So what I'm saying is, if we think about the egregore and we think about how Callus has gotten this power, he's essentially communed with the darkness to learn this ability, just like our Oryx did to learn
Yes.
Taken. Okay,
Yes.
all right. So let me hypothetically put this out there.
If you say whisper one more time.
That's a tasty cheeseburger. Um,
What is it? So
okay.
what's your hypothetical?
Um, there could be a world that exists where it's not necessarily a taken power or a nightmare power, but something to the effect of a shadow um, ability.
Okay.
And it could be tied to the plants and the egregore and the lichen and all that.
Yeah. Okay.
And so the darkness power that we were all yearning for, that poison, that we're thinking about, like as
Uh huh.
far as like another darkness ability, if we're thinking about poison, we could also think about like a shadow form and a poison form, and it could almost just be, I don't know, black.
Okay.
And then your last subclass in final shape or whatever could be what you mentioned, all the like crazy things we've seen in the past just as add-ons.
Hmm.
Siva, Ahamkara, blah blah blah,
I don't.
acleophage, maggots on her face.
What is a cleophage? That's not in the game, is it?
Not anymore.
Because it
It was at the
what
very
is it?
beginning of it was one of the first exotics. Remember?
Yeah, it used to give you a fourth shot on your golden gun, right? That's what it did.
Which is odd because solar is considered to be like the purest form of light, right? Or
Yeah,
it's seen as that.
that's my opinion at least.
Yeah. I don't know. I mean, if
Huh.
acleophage, when do you define it? It's straight up like a symbiotic eating of light. So you eat the light, and it gives you more ability.
Let's
And it came
see.
from Dark Souls.
Golden gun gains one additional shot per use, and also that's it. Oh, that's it. Okay.
Yeah, abilities were simple back then.
Yeah, holy shit. Um, they told me it would eat my thoughts and leave me full of
Full of
light.
light. Yeah, and it's a head maggot. It's a big freaking blob of darkness.
Let's see if this works.
Almost looks like
That
the heart
should
of the
work.
darkness,
Yeah, so
the black heart.
it kind of looks like lava almost, but I know that's not the intent.
Yeah.
So the symbiote here, um, I can't look at them both, but right now I should have the symbiote up on screen for any viewers. I wonder if this is like an early concept of the egregore, which should now be up on the screen.
See what you're saying?
Because I mean, it's such an early D1 thing, and it has not been touched since. And it's like, can it not be?
Well, okay, so back up. Like when the nightmares do their thing and they have that weird branchy lightning that comes out, like when they die or when they appear, it's that red and black branches of like
Mm-hmm.
vines and stuff that come
Mm-hmm.
out. Um, remember the concept art of the Heart of the Black Garden?
Yeah, that's what the nightmares reminded everyone of. That when Shadowkeep came out, everyone was going over that, and
Yeah.
you know like that's the thing. You have nightmares who have that. You have the egregore who kind of simulates that and just it's like flowing leafy appendages, and then you also have the fucking champions who have that crap coming off of their back.
Yeah. Well, yeah, because they were infected by the yeah,
Were they?
or
There's no
whatever it was.
fucking lore on what champions are, but they fucking exist, and they're like a canonical thing in the game. The identity of champions are a thing.
Yeah. That's strange. They never defined that.
No.
So I'm just amalgamating.
Yeah, I don't know the fucking time. I mean, I remember the good old days when you can just make up whatever the fuck you want and people would believe it. I am kidding. Don't ever do that.
You know, okay, so I've always said it, and I know this has been like a really loose show because we're just going over everything in the whole season, like dump that happened. You know,
Yeah.
just kind of like to preface what's coming up. But um, it really does feel like everything that's happened in game has been because of the community and people like wishing for things,
Hmm.
almost like an ahankara wish. If you wish for it, it's going to show up, you know, but
Yeah.
be careful what you wish for because it's going to break the game or it
Yeah.
might not make you happy. You know, you don't necessarily know what's good or bad for you until you experience it, right? So
Yeah.
people think they know what they want and they clamor for it until they get it. And then when they get it, they're like, wait, that's not what I wanted.
I mean, Destiny exists in a very there's I don't think there's any other game that is pumping out content at the rate that Destiny is
I
pumping out content.
agree, dude. This is insane
Yeah.
because, like, you know, I keep bringing it up, but even Halo is just cosmetics. And we
Yeah.
got like another map this season, and that's
Yeah.
about it.
Like Fortnite and Apex Legends and things like battle royales, those are the games that are like competing and like delivering content because they're like, oh, we have a new season. Oh, we have a new season. And it's like, yeah,
Yeah,
but
but
your
what
new
is
season
it?
is the same map and the same things. It's just
Yeah.
cosmetics. Destiny has cosmetics and new
Mission,
voice act,
like
new
flat out areas to
yeah,
explore and just like insane amounts of stuff. Yeah, you're right. Like as far as deliverability goes, what is everyone else? It's funny because think about the game Overwatch.
yeah.
There ain't nothing in that game.
And I heard
But
Overwatch
people
2 didn't do good.
play the crap out of it.
Yeah,
And every season is like, oh, it's gonna be so great, it's gonna be so great. Yeah, what? What do you get for all that money?
because what was I? Oh my god, I completely it's fucking spaced on what I was saying. Because Destiny has so many seasons pumping out content. Oh, I remember now. They're pumping out content so efficiently that they exist in this like unique scenario where they are creating content and then they're also working on content that's like a
Yeah,
year down the line and they're taking in feedback and then like okay we
yeah,
can't put it into this content that's coming out next week but we can put it into the content that's coming out a year from now and
right.
then so it's like this like cycle of like almost like Ouroboros, like
Yeah, eating
we're,
itself.
we're we're affecting the game in like so many ways and then they introduce something new and the new thing is interesting but we say something, they introduce something, they implement what we said, we like what they did, and then we have to say that we like what they did and it's kind of
Yeah, you're right.
it,
See, that's what I'm
it
saying. It kind of feels like that, right?
yeah.
Remember D1 when it first launched? Everybody's funniest thing was there's nothing to do in Destiny. Destiny has nothing in it. There's no story. There's no nothing. There's nothing to do.
I mean there
We
was
got
always a story. This wasn't a very good one.
exactly. And so there was nothing, right? And so like this is the polar opposite.
Hmm. There is a lot to do and there people are like oh but there's no reason to do it and it's like do it for fun. If you're not having
Yeah,
fun
just
why
do
are
it
you
for
doing
fun.
it?
Yeah. Yeah, I've always said that's the fate of all fools, right?
Hmm.
It's like one, you know,
Yeah,
not
and Destiny had the fate
realizing.
of all fools. Oh my god, it
Yeah,
had everything.
yeah. Nobody had it. Everybody
Yeah, no
wanted
one
it.
else
You
had the fate
can't
of
have
all
it.
fools.
And that's the foolish thing is to want something that you ought not have.
Yeah, I've always had the opinion. or maybe not always, but for a while, I've had the opinion that video games, like many other things, are an art form, and art is best left to the artist. Like
Sure.
you don't go to Van Gogh and be like, don't do that. I want to see more of that. You just let him do
Yeah.
what he wants to do and what he wants to express,
Yeah.
and it comes out, and it's like you
Van
either
Gogh's
like it
probably not
or
the best
he's just the only
example, but
artist I know. What's another artist? Banksy. So you don't go to
yeah, there
Banksy
you go.
until
There you go. Banksy's a good Destiny analogy because like who the hell is Banksy and why
yeah.
is he
Who the
doing
hell
this?
is Bungie? Has anyone actually ever
People
seen
people
Bungie
want
before?
people want to see Banksy's art, but they don't know when they're going to see it, and
Yeah,
it just shows up one day, and then you're like, oh
that's
my god,
that's
what
true.
is?
Yeah. That's how this.
You're
That's
right though.
exactly how
Art,
this
artist
season. Yeah,
art is in the art is in the opinion and the eyes of the
yeah.
viewer. It's not in the artist. It's what you as a people make of the
Yeah.
person and the art. It's not like Jackson Pollock, if you had no idea who he was and he wasn't
I
a
don't.
person in history and you saw his painting, all of a sudden you would just say, what is all this drippy mess?
Is he
But
the
to
one?
understand it,
Is he
yeah.
the one that did the thing where they look at the painting and then it looks at the person and they look closer at the painting and they look closer at the person and they look closer at the painting and they look closer at the person? Because I like that one.
What the hell?
You don't know that fucking movie?
Uh,
I don't know it either, but I remember it.
I haven't
My
seen that
brain is
one.
fucking fried. But yeah, no, I think video games are best enjoyed when they're developed by someone who is passionate about what they're
Yeah,
making, and they deliver a product that they're happy with. You know that they're not catering to the player, they're not catering to the investors, they're not catering to a country or any of that. You know, they say, I want to create this experience. I want to create this story. I want to create this gameplay. I want to create this
yeah,
universe. I want to create this world. I want to, whatever it is. And they create it. And then, like, we as consumers get to say, I didn't really like that, but that's fine. I'll just go play one of the many other games that there are to play, and I'll enjoy some of those. And I'll let the people who enjoy your game enjoy your game. You don't need to hear
right,
that I didn't enjoy it. You are an
right,
artist. You make what you make to make yourself happy and to hopefully also make yourself money. And
right. Yeah, I think that's the hard part is like when you look at it from a financial standpoint or just to make money, that's when it loses its meaning.
that's when it gets
You got
tough.
to
Yeah,
want to do it. You got to be passionate about it. You got to love it,
yeah.
just like anything in life.
And I'm not saying that a video game isn't allowed to make money. I'm not saying that they're not allowed to charge what they're allowed to charge. Because the same thing with art, like if an artist says my value is like hundreds of dollars for a painting, that's what they believe it's worth, and that's what they believe it's
Exactly.
worth. You're not in a position to argue that. And
Right.
like I want everyone at Bungie to be making money. I want to support them because I enjoy
Right.
their product. Same thing with
Same.
people at Young Horses. Same thing with people at Naughty Dog. Same thing with people at Insomniac. I enjoy what they are creating. I want to support them. But yeah, that's just
Support
my
artist. There's our show.
yeah. It's like imagine there might be something I don't like. There is always something I don't like in every game I play. I would never I would never take it to them though and be like, "How dare
Yeah.
you?" Like, well, I might take it to them if they're like asking for feedback, but I would never be like, "How fucking dare you
Yeah. Me
create
either.
not do this?" Like
I never
imagine having
understood
so
that
little time in the
mindset.
day or so much time in
Yeah.
the day that
Yeah.
that's what you're doing with your fucking life.
Just be nice.
Seriously, it's not fucking hard.
Be kind. It's the least you can do.
Yeah, literally.
Literally.
Like the barest of minimums is just don't be a dick. It's
Yeah.
not it's not it's not passion. It's you're being a dick. Shut the fuck
Yeah.
up.
There you go.
Well,
Well,
that's our show.
yeah.
just hit end. Don't even say goodbye. Okay,
uh,
really quick. How are you liking this season so
love
far?
it.
We're 2 weeks in. I
Love.
love it as well. I think it's great.
Yeah.
I love one of my favorite things. I really got to say this. One of my absolute favorite things is that we're back in the Leviathan, and it's super different. When they brought the
Yeah.
moon back, it was It was kind of different, but it was still mostly just the moon. When they brought the Cosmodrome back, it was barely different, but it was very still much the Cosmodrome.
Yeah.
The Leviathan is so different. I love it. I want to see this every season. I know it's impossible to see this every season, but I want them to take fucking everything away. I'm like, take it all away. Get it out.
Let's
Get
do
it out
it.
and bring it back. I want more. I want more of this. It's so awesome.
Ditto. You couldn't have said it better.
Yeah. So that's gonna be it for our show this week, I think. Yeah. Are we out of
Yep.
time? We are out of
Yeah.
time. Our next show will be on Sunday the 19th, June 19th. Is that a thing? Why does that sound
No.
familiar?
Is that Father's Day?
19th. Well, it came in Google. Oh, it's Juneteenth.
Well, yeah, that's a thing.
Yeah, that is a thing. I knew it sounded familiar. I just couldn't place it. So we'll still have a show then.
Yeah.
So then we're gonna have our next show on June 19th, same time, same place. We're probably gonna go back to a lore book from the previous season because there's a number of lore books that we didn't cover, and this season's lore books are not out yet. So we hope that you listen to us or come join us then. If you are looking for us, if you came late, at Loose Canon Show on Twitter has a link with all our information. Our podcast gets uploaded everywhere that you can listen to it, and also YouTube to watch. So have a
Great.
have a good one, everyone. Bye.
Bye.